Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the League of Inches Tuesday night live show. Huge show lined up. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about in the rugby league world. It's a great thing, isn't it? We feel like it's dying down, and all of a sudden, DCE wants to drop a bomb. So, plenty to talk about. I know it's been spoken about a lot already in the last 24 hours, but we have yet to have our say. So, we have waited patiently until tonight to then go ahead and give you our thoughts as well as all your thoughts. So again, as always, when you're all coming online, any discussion that is happening, be in the comments, be loud, be proud, get your views across. We will share them, read them out, and that's the best part about making this show what it is. So, mate, muchly appreciated. Quick couple of sponsor shout-outs before I get to the boys, just so I get them out of the way straight away, because I know this will be a huge episode, and we want to get straight into footy as soon as possible. So Freedom Finance Group has jumped aboard there, our big sponsor. So what will happen with that one? They're actually giving us an offer at the moment. That's actually, so what the offer is if you are seeking finance, so if you got a home loan, looking for loans over that any settled loan for 500,000 net borrowings, you actually will get a one-time cashback offer of $500. Anything under that 500K mark, they will still look after you. It'll just be a case-by-case situation. So make sure you mention to Con at Freedom Finance. You heard about this from League of Inches, and he will help you out with all your financial needs. He is an absolute gem of a bloke. Haven't met a nicer guy in finance, to be honest with you. He will look after you for sure. The second one, obviously, the Velveteen Rabbit. We've still got this Magic Round event happening. Cannot wait. So Saturday morning, 11 to 2, we'll meet all you guys. I'm really keen for it. Tonight, we'll be giving away 2 tickets again for the best comment that is provided to us. We'll be starring them, and then we'll vote at the end. So make sure you get all your comments in, so you get a chance to win that double pass to our Magic Round event, which will be huge. Now, Travie boy, how's things, mate? How was your weekend? How's your week been? Tuesday night already.
Tuesday night already, yeah. Tuesday night of week 8 for the teaching educators out there in Queensland. Very excited. Got 8 more days, and then it's holidays, baby. Very good weeks to start off with. Very good weekend. I enjoyed my weekend. Had a great weekend watching the rugby league and listening to some of your rubbish, Joel, but I'm going to talk about that in a second.
No rubbish from me. Jakey boy, how's your last 24 hours been? Not 48 hours since Sunday night.
Since Sunday night, since I've had time to sort of breathe a little bit more. It's been pretty good. Just back in at work and looking forward to, chatting some crap.
Look, yeah, it's going to be a big one. It's going to be I think some very hotly debated topics to come. That is for sure. And everyone seems to love those episodes. So cannot wait to get right into things. All right. What caught our eye this week? I feel like Trav's got something lined up. I'm in the firing line. Fire away, Trav.
Oh, no. So you're not in the firing lane. No, Jake's in my firing lane. So I just want to. So I'm just going to give a kudos where a kudos is due, Joel. I listened to that pod on Sunday. For those that don't, it was the Sunday review, so it's a review show of what happened on the weekend. Talking points. Not all games are covered. Not all points are covered on the show. Try to keep it to a pretty good minimum, or not minimum, but to a pretty good time. And I listened to the start of it, and the start when you asked Jake about his opinion on the Munster hip drop. Jake, kudos to you, bro. Number one, first of all, how elaborate and eloquent you were as you explained your opinion. Number two, how informed and educated it was. And number three, for standing up to Joel and his absolutely abysmal rubbish. That's two classic hip drops he's called. He's called it twice. 2 classic hip drops. And both didn't even get fined. So clearly this man has no idea, guys. Stop listening to him. Listen more to Jake. Very proud of you, bro. Very proud of you. But on all seriousness. What you actually said and how you said it was just fantastic. I really enjoyed that. Well done, Jake. Kudos. That's what caught my eye.
I appreciate it, Trav. I appreciate it. I love it.
Jake, what caught your eye this week? Let's move on from that, please. He's obviously just got a thing for you tonight.
What caught my eye was Trav catching his eye on me. No,
Yeah.
No, what caught my eye was football related this week, and a lot of people have sort of talked about it, and it was the first time I think I've ever seen a player run over 30 runs in a game. Zach Lomax, despite the team he's playing for and how crap we're all doing and all that performance was one of the single best solo performances I've seen in a really long time from almost any player. Like, that's not putting anyone to shame. That's just you can tell how much he wants to be, how much he wants to win and be there and just do everything he can to win. And 30 runs for over 300 meters is just ridiculous. He would have been rooted at the end of that game.
He would have had a very sore back as well, but that's another story. His chiro bill is going to get quite hefty before he knows it. I'm going to agree with Timmy Boy here. What he sort of said, what caught his eye was the number of players feigning injuries to get penalties, and I think it is probably a topic of its own, which I didn't have on the rundown sheet, but it's probably something we can quickly jump into. But I think this is starting to become a bit of a worrying trend, and we were a bit cautious about this when one thing I will say about this is the HIA and the concussion protocols and that are there for the right reasons. And I just think it's quite sick now that clubs are exploiting this, and they clearly are. And I think that's really piss poor. Like, we're talking about things that from a player's point of view, we've seen some of these older players, we don't need to name their names, but we all know who some of them are that have really struggled in their post-playing career and how they are remembering things and stuff like that. It's a very serious matter. And I think the fact that clubs are using this to get extra substitutions and interchanges, things like that, is really poor. There was a number on the weekend that I remember watching going, why has he got a green card in like his hand? And why did he go off for a HIA? He got hit in the chest or something, and they're claiming a HIA. And it's getting to a really dangerous point, I feel like, for the game, and they really need to start working on a way to, and I know it's going to be hard for them because then you don't want to say someone's fibbing when they actually do have an issue. I think it's more so to do with the clubs. They need to start talking to themselves and going, you know what, we can cheat basically and get the extra 2 or 3 interchanges, but really, should we be doing this? So, Trav, I know you're nodding quite a bit, so I think you're in agreement here about the look not being great. Anything to add?
Yeah, I think it does look poor. I think this is a pretty easy fix. So if a player goes down and Wayne's on a HIA, so off you go. See you later. Go and sit off for 10 minutes. Like, it'll be a very quick fix. Like, it'll be automatic. If you've been hit in the head and it's enough for you to lay on the ground for a split second or a little while, then go and get HIA tested. That'll shut them up. That'll stop them from doing that. It's very quick. It's pissing me off. I'm sick of seeing it. And kudos to all the community who wrote these in the comments. I remember sitting there answering a few of these comments last year in some of our reviews and some of our bits. But yeah, I laughed at that. Now I'm thrown off, Shannon. Thanks. No, but kudos to the community, because there was a few people in the YouTube comments and things that we've been answering over the last couple of months who, when these rules sort of came in, made the comment of that this is, and predicted that this is what would happen. So yeah, I've had enough of it already, and it's only been 3 weeks.
Well, Mark, I think you're hitting the nail on the head here. And the funny thing is, and sorry, Trav, I'm not having a dig here at your team. I'm just using it as my example because it's the only one that pops up. Nick Meaney, for instance, was a clear HIA. And for instance, I was surprised Nelson didn't go for one as well, but they kept him on for that extra. Like, it was only a play, but like, to be honest, if we're going to treat this seriously, he should have been gone straight away. Like, it shouldn't have been. The game should not have started again until Nick Meaney went off the field after that sickening collision, because he was clearly in a world of hurt and needed that HIA assessment and didn't come back into the game. So it was clearly impacting him. So I like the point Mark is bringing up there. Jake?
Yeah, my biggest thing, I suppose, on this is like a lot of the coaches that are in this game now, either old legends of the game or players who have played before and things like that, and understand what the game's about. And you'd have to imagine that sort of players are getting coached to some degree at least, or even being told to kind of, by trainers or whatever to do this, to go down and then, play for penalties or play for time or whatever it be. And you have to kind of think like these are these old legends of the game that should be wanting the game to be what it should be. But I understand wanting to win, right? But I also believe in wanting to win the right way. And I think that type of behavior and that type of thing, not only is it cowardly, I think that it's honestly just a terrible look for the game itself. The game looks softer because of it. Like
and
when
you're
faking,
quite a big exploitation of the rule as well, because they're actually getting 2 free interchanges each time, and that's inside a 15-minute window, which a forward can do quite a bit of damage. Let's say it is a forward, which most of them seem to be. They can do quite a bit of damage in a 15-minute stint. If you say to like someone coming, like Nelson, for instance, if he replaces, say, Stefano, who goes off for a HIA, imagine telling Nelson, you got 15 minutes to go berserk. Like, that's a huge advantage, and that's 2 free interchanges.
It's especially forwards, because considering you get that break and then you come on, and the amount of impact that you can bring in within 10, 15 minutes can absolutely change your game. Like you can turn a game's momentum around with a forward that's fresh off the bench, and when you can get them for free, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like you shouldn't, but yeah.
Great start to the show. Keep it coming, guys. Keep those opinions, keep the questions, keep everything coming in. Any questions you feel like asking, if they're not related to this topic, we'll just star them like we always do. We'll get to it towards the end of the show, so make sure you are listening. I forgot to mention, obviously, TC coolers as well. Thank you very much. I'll give away a cooler tonight for the best question asked on air as well. Let's get into it. Obviously, what everyone is probably tuning in for tonight, the hot topic in the game is Daly Cherry Evans' decision to leave Manly at the end of the year. Now, let me just warn everyone now. There's a few avenues to go via this Cherry Evans situation. There's a few avenues to discuss, so we're going to try and cover it all. We want to really go into depth here and cover it and give you our thoughts on everything and get your thoughts as well. I know we've got a large Manly contingent of fans, so hopefully they're all jumping on, ready to have their say. We really want to know your thoughts in things as well. And even if this post the show, you're listening afterwards on the podcast, message the page, let us know. Really are interested in hearing all your thoughts with all of this, because I want to start off with this. I can't believe what I actually witnessed last night from first grade sort of football player, a first grade club, and to see how it went down. I thought I was watching a circus sort of show in a way. Like it was, I just could not believe the way that they're selling it to say it was very respectful. It feels like it was done anyway, but respectfully, because one side of the fence, which is Daly Cherry Evans, went straight to the media and went onto a TV show. And then during the other TV show that was on, the management went and said, no, we've got an offer to Cherry Evans, which is 2 years now. Like, I honestly could not believe what was happening. I thought it was like an April Fool's joke for a while there. I was like, hang on, this isn't right. Jake, thoughts?
How can a first grade rugby league club with so much money that pays people so much money in all of this, how can the administration of a club at this level make such a huge error as calling him on live TV? That's just, first of all, hilarious. Like you have to take a step back and see how funny that is in the first place. Like that's going to go down and that's going to be there forever. Like that's, it's on the internet. It's everywhere. You're going to see that forever. They're going to be haunted by that. And I think that's so funny. But at the same time, it's embarrassing, to be honest. If you're a Manly fan, I'd be sitting there as a Manly fan, and this is coming from an Eels fan who is embarrassed all the time. Like, you should feel embarrassed for your club doing that, like on live TV and sort of just making a fool of themselves, to be honest with you. In terms of DCE actually going, it's his choice, and that's fine. Like, I'll go into that later, I'm sure. But yeah, it was an absolute media circus, and I think they've definitely realized they messed up and try to fix it. But it was just the wrong timing, wrong place. Like, just that's terrible. Very funny though.
It's I can't believe it. Trav, let's tackle the way Cherry Evans has handled this first. Let's talk about that, because in a way I feel like the last 12 hours or so, what I've been listening to podcast-wise, majority of it has tried to sell this narrative that how Cherry Evans handled has been like a master stroke and all this sort of jazz. Like, let's remember, and I think this has been forgotten, he is the captain of this club at the moment. In my opinion, they have a really good shot at winning the competition this year, like probably their best shot they've had since the last time they won the competition. I think this has been handled extremely poorly by Cherry Evans and his management, because if it's a personal agenda which they're trying to push now for and proving a point against Manly that they didn't respect him and gave him a proper offer, they've basically put their own needs above the club. And if I was a Manly fan right now, I'd be actually looking at that, being really disappointed and quite annoyed, to be honest, that my club captain has now done it this way and handled it this way. It's been an absolute shit show, to be honest.
I'm going to sort of parrot a couple of things of a couple of Manly fans that have posted in some of our groups that we've got for League of Inches in our Facebook messages about and some of the emojis. And it's a bit funny to say this in terms of a way of the emojis and stuff, but it shows the emotion about it. There's been a lot of crying emojis. There's been a lot of pissed off fans that have spoken about how hard this is already to take and how pissed off people are. So I'm going to take the fan who's of the Manly fan and just think that this is a complete shit show and an absolute garbage handling of this situation. And I'm actually going to put a lot of the figure on this to DCE. I just think DCE did this all wrong. He came out on a Monday and did this, like literally 24 hours old, pretty much straight after the week, within 24 hours of the last game of the week. He went on to national TV and posted this. He didn't even do it as like he didn't even do this as like a media conference at the club. He went to Nine and did it. Like, to me, that's just a disgrace. That's just holding and hiding stuff. And I don't like it. I don't like the way DC has handled this. I also think on the club side of this, that it's piss management. It's really poorly managed. However, I listened to the news piece this morning of the CEO coming out and explaining the situation, and it kind of makes sense. Now, how much of that I'll take as a bit of a grain of salt, but it makes sense to what he said, and a lot of this of what the club's done makes sense. Yeah, this screams to me like there's so much more going on here, and I just don't know where to go with this. But my opinion is that this is a joke. It still feels a bit like a joke, and I'm waiting for the next piece of, nah, it's all right, I was just lying. Oh, this was just a media circus. Sorry, guys, I was just trying to get some advertisement around or something like that. But there has to be some sort of bad blood or something, because this doesn't happen. And to me, DCE is 36 years old. He's captained Origin. Wasn't he the captain of Australia? Like he's been international captain. He's the captain of that club for a long time. He's a premiership winner for that club. Far out, like for 15 years, he's only missed 23 games. This is very unlike him, and he'd be much more professional than that. And that club in Manly are renowned for being so much more professional. And well, yeah, sorry, and Alan just hit the nail on where I was going there. So, I've got some grave concerns about this, and it's really concerning me about that whole organisation around what's happening here, because this just doesn't happen. Your stalwart of your clubs don't do this. They wait for the moments, or they go to the leadership or your admin team and all that sort of stuff and talk to them and say, let's do this. I'm going to give me a couple of weeks, get yourselves organized. Let's do a media conference. We're going to run this control. We're going to do this. DC has gone completely behind their back, and the club's gone out and gone, shit, he's done this. I better make a phone call and say, hang on, actually, no, we've offered him this. Yeah, I'm very concerned about this.
Yeah, and Chev, just in replying to me, we appreciate you doing this. I love everyone's thoughts. Just if you're listening, But Joel told the club all the way back in December he was planning on leaving at the end of the year. Not his fault he wasn't offered anything from them. They knew this was coming. Now, from what I've heard and been told, he actually told Manly, the club, to just hold off for a while and just see how he starts the season. So he actually has then all of a sudden gone live on national TV to then discuss and say that he's planning on leaving Manly. So I don't know who's to blame here. Like, I wish I knew when I was involved with some of these conversations to hear what was happening, because it would be absolutely fantastic viewing or listening to. But from mine, as I keep saying, the club captain does not handle things this way. If this was, let's imagine if Cam Smith, the forward, like if this is how he handled his time with the Storm, like you just would not expect it, would not see it. Think of all the great captains. Like Cherry Evans is held in that high regard as one of the all-time, one of the better club captains that we've had in our time, and it just doesn't sit. It doesn't sit well. And he even said, he admitted last night, like he hadn't even got around to all the playing group to tell them. It just feels like this is now going to rub off, and there's a few comments already about it, really disrupt the playing group. And again, like I said, they were, in my opinion, a real good chance of winning the comp this year, or at least giving a good fight to the Storm and Panthers. Now, I'm really second-guessing what this will actually do, to the point where, as bad as Parramatta's going, there's a part of me that kind of wants to tip them this weekend, because I think this could have a huge effect on Manly. Like, I think it could really affect this playing group, because that's your club captain, and he's almost just basically throwing his toys out of the cot and away you go, Jake. Like, it doesn't sit well at all.
No, like I said, I'm just so shocked by it. I'm not going to agree with you on tipping Eels, unfortunately, because that's not going to happen. I don't care how disrupted they are; it doesn't matter. But yeah, no, it just, I don't know. The amount of it that I don't see it personally the way I see it. I don't feel like it's as much on DCE as it is on the club themselves. Like, you know, he basically said, I want to be here for another 2 years. And they had plenty of time, ample time to go, right, we want you for 2 years. In that 2 years, we'll start to develop our next halfback. You can try, like, you know, you can be that kind of, you can be showing him the ropes or whatever, and like trying to mentor him all the way through until he's ready to go. The year after, like, they had so much time for that to be the decision that they made, but they waited again until he was on another, like on a TV show to call him. Like, who? What? I can't even fathom it right now. But I don't know. I don't see as much of this being DC. I get it. I get where you're coming from. I see this being mostly club administration handling it poorly. That's what I'm seeing from this personally.
Well, start us off on that part of it, because that's another avenue we need to go down for this. Tell us your thoughts.
Well, I mean, like, pretty much that was you kind of just heard it there. Like, my entire sort of thought process is, right, you've got this player here, right? And, you know, you all just talked about it, club captain, all these things, all his accolades that he's got over the time. He's 36?
6.
Yeah, thank you. 36, right? And like you said, Trav, he's had, 27 games off in his career, something like that. Something like some unbelievably small number, okay?
Very reliable.
Yes, he had a back twinge earlier this game. He came off for 10 minutes, and he played the next week. Like, he's still getting around the park better than almost anybody else on that field most of the time. Most games you see him play, he is up there with like the better players in each game, kind of thing. It's pretty consistently. I see no signs of him slowing down. I think he's pretty clear that he thinks he can keep going for another 2 years. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so adamant on a contract, right? And like I said to you, a good club there goes, right, we know what you've done for look, they don't know him. They don't owe him anything. They paid him for a long time, right? Yeah, he won a premiership for them. They don't owe him anything. Okay, so it's fair enough if they don't want to re-sign him, but they need to tell him that. They need to make that clear to him earlier than they did, and go, no, right, we're not going to sign you again. That's fine. You have time. You can go and get another club, whatever. It's become a shambles because no one was clear with each other what was going to happen, and that's where I'm talking about with the administration stuff. Like, it's a communication breakdown on who's at fault. Like, we're talking about how it's DCE or it could be the club itself. It's both a little bit, mostly the club, because they didn't communicate with him where he stood. And I think he's gone, right, you haven't told me where I'm standing. I'm assuming that's me. I'm good. I'll go to another club. I know I can get offers somewhere else. I know I've still got 2 years in me. And then, like I said, they called him completely at the wrong time, and sort of, I think they it almost felt like they were trying to put him under pressure because he was on like TV, or maybe they just, I don't know, maybe it was just a complete and absolute F up. But, you know, that's where I'm coming from with the administration side of things. Like, it just felt like everyone was at different areas in the club. No one knew where he stood and where they stood with him, if that makes sense.
I can't judge. And just by the way, if you are watching, guys, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you do all that, share everything. Get the show out there. Liking and stuff really helps the page grow and the video grow as well. But the management side of things, I don't know what happened before this. There's basically a he say, she say type situation at the moment, which is ugly in itself. Like, let's remember, Cherry Evans is still at the club for the rest of the year, and they can't even agree on what's happened in the stories. Like, Cherry Evans' camp's trying to claim that nothing was told to him. Management's trying to claim that Cherry Evans told them at the start of the year that he wanted to just see how he was going by about Origin time, and see how his body was feeling, and then discuss it from there, which they said, yep, no worries, and then it's come to what it is. What I'm more disappointed about in the management side of things, if I was a Manly fan, is how they've acted since this news got out. To call Fox Sports and to have that become live on air that you just put an offer in is embarrassing, in my opinion. That is childish. You don't behave like that as a club. You just go, let's go and watch what Cherry Evans has to say. Let's bring him in either that night or tomorrow morning for a meeting first thing, and let's sort out what is going on. He was never going to then turn around live on air, Cherry Evans, and go, oh, they've just given me an offer on Fox Sports. Yeah, let's sign away on 2 years. They've basically just made themselves have absolute egg on their face. And then, again, like, I know they had to come out. They've done their press conferences. They've done all that, which is fine. I understand it. But they've tried to continue on this sort of path where they're going, no, we're throwing him now a coaching thing afterwards as well. All this sort of, like, he's made it clear, Cherry Evans, in my opinion, he doesn't want to be at the club anymore. That's his clear thing at the moment, prerogative. So you've sort of got to start to turn it around, because what the management have to start to realise, they've still got a large fan base that is going, what the hell is happening here still? We're about to lose our club captain and one of our best players. What's the go? And I just feel like management can do a whole lot better than what they're currently doing. And to start by doing a live on air offer, I thought that was so childish, Trav. Like, I could not believe from a management and NRL CEO, that's how they decided to go about things.
Oh, it's pathetic and unprofessional on all parts, on absolute all parts. This should have been done behind closed doors. It should have been done through the management. To do it through NRL 360 is just a shambles, absolute joke. That's all I can say. I'm sorry. It's short and sharp. There's nothing. I'm just so thrown out by this. It's not what I expect Manly to do. This is not what I expect DCE to do. It's not what I expect of this club, and even in the NRL. So, this is unprecedented, and I'm quite shocked by this. There's a lot to play out the next few days. I'm very keen to see what happens and how long it takes DCE to sign somewhere else. I know he said in his press conference that by doing this, it allows him to have a lot of opportunity to have a think, to talk with his family, to watch and wait and see what he does. I sort of predict that I think he does something in the next week or so, at least within the next week. I don't think he drags this out too much longer. I think he'll realize very quickly that once this starts to drag out, it'll actually create more of a circus than what this is, and he won't want that. And he knows full well that Manly are in a premiership year. So, a potential for that. So that reality does not want to sink in for the captain of that club. So, I think something will happen. I'm very eager to watch this play out.
Great question here by Alan Dim. Thanks for watching, mate, and thanks for all the comments you have flying in. You were great last week as well. Who benefits the most by making it all public? Is it the new way to negotiate contracts live on TV? I don't think that's going to be the norm moving forward. I hope not, because I think it's an absolute stupid way of doing it. But boys, who do you reckon has benefited the most here? Is it Cherry Evans? Is it? I feel like it kind
nobody benefited
because it was an absolute. I don't know. Go ahead, Jay.
It depends on if you consider Daly Cherry Evans definitely never going back to Manly as benefiting. because that's all that happened from that. There wasn't. I wouldn't say that. Look, the club definitely didn't benefit. They've kind of gone. Well, Daly's kind of gone. Hey, you've embarrassed me on live TV. I don't want to.
He said
here.
no. The other thing was he said no to the contracts live on TV as well. So it's like he can now go back and go to Manly in a few weeks' time and go, oh yeah, you know what, guys, I'll take that offer up. You just made it public to everyone. You don't want to take up the 2-year deal at Manly.
You're right, Jake.
He's gone. He can't hear.
To be fair, if we have to answer the question perfectly, sorry, with the way it's been asked, I think the only benefit or the only person that this benefits is DCE, 100%. This is now the whole NRL world knows that this is a shambles. So let's get onto him now. Now he knows that he has the power here to negotiate. So him and his management are definitely in the power in the benefit of this. But to be fair, I don't think technically anyone really benefits.
Yeah. Where do we think he goes? Moving on now from the situation that's been dealt with. He's going to be moving on. I don't think he's retiring. I, in a way, feel like he's got a deal lined up as well. But they're just trying to be very smart about the way they approach this. I put a post up this morning. I felt there's a few clubs that are in hot pursuit of him, are very realistic destinations for him. You got the Roosters are obviously very heavy. They got money in the cap, it feels like. The Dolphins obviously played there junior football, maybe a bit of family heritage there as well. You've got the Titans. He obviously performed that backflip 10 years ago now. Have they forgiven him because they're in desperate need, in my opinion, of an organising playmaker? He would fit the bill perfectly. I think the good thing with the Titans for mine, they literally have a team on paper I feel like can do something. They literally just need a Cherry Evans. So if I was the Titans, even if it meant I had to miss out on keeping either Campbell or Brimson, it sounds silly enough, but I would go all in to get Cherry Evans because I feel like I've got a better chance at winning the comp in the next 2 years with Cherry than without him. So in a way, I feel like he's going to Queensland. It's more a big question for mine for the Roosters. How much can they throw at him? How much are they willing to give him? Because that would be a huge story in itself. Jake, where do you think he's going?
Look, I think I have this weird feeling, and I have no way to base this on, but I just have this feeling that he's going to go to the Dolphins. I don't know what it is. I think he's just going to go across there, and I think it'd be perfect because, like we were talking about, I think that Katoa's going to do better. I think he'd do better as a 5'8". If he didn't have to run the side around or as much and can kind of just focus on his footy, he'd look really good. That being said, I have a feeling he's going to go to the Roosters. Sorry, I know I just kind of said he's going to the Dolphins. Sorry. I feel like the Roosters are going to throw a lot at him. Sorry. It's going to come in between the two. I think the Roosters are going to peg, like they're just going to give money to him for a year, maybe sort of, 2 then. And I think they're going to go like, hey, you're going to have this team, a pretty good team around you for, a year or 2 years. We want you to try and win a comp within that time. Him and Walker. And I think that'd be a really good combination there, to be honest.
Trav, where do you think he goes?
The question of where I think and where I want him to go are two very different points. Where I think he goes, where I think he goes is to the Roosters. It just all screams the Roosters. It screams like clearly he's looking for some money. I think the Roosters have got that. They always seem to have that. So the ties between his management and who they've already signed and where they're going screams to me like he's going to the Roosters, and they freaking need him, right? So not only can they pay him, not only has he got management ties there, there's also a need for it. Where I would like him to go is I would love him to go to the Dolphins. I think he would turn that club upside down. I think he would make a massive difference culturally to them. And I think he would turn Katoa into already a potential superstar into the superstar that we think he's going to be. So I would love him to go to the Dolphins, but I think he goes to the Roosters.
Finally, there is just this one, just a quick one. For Manly for next year, do you go to market and see who you can find? Obviously, we've done this for Parramatta a couple of weeks ago, so we won't go too into depth for it, but I think by now everyone knows who's available next year. It's not great, to be honest with you. It's more a stopgap solution, especially in the halfback sort of mould as well. There isn't too much. A big play at the moment might be Fogarty. If the Raiders do end up saying to them they don't want him moving forward, I could see him being a good stopgap, which I think is absolutely crazy. The Raiders are such a better team when Fogarty's in that side. Or do they go all in? They go Brooks to halfback, and they, by all reports, Turbo is 5'8". Me personally, I'm a bit cautious on Turbo at 5'8" in the amount of defensive work teams got to put him through. I don't know if his body's going to be up to it. That has me really worried. And then the fact that next year they're already going to be without Cherry Evans, that means any time that Turbo is out injured, they're going to be without those two players. And we know from statistics, we don't need to be an astronaut to work it out. Manly almost don't win a single game when both of those players are out. So I don't know. I feel like if I'm Manly, I'm waiting to see what happens with Fogarty. And if he becomes available, I know there's people saying go all in for someone like Galvin, things like that, maybe. But I'd be trying my best to get Fogarty for at least next year. Even if it's a 2 year you have to give, I'd give him 2 years. Trav?
Yeah, I love the Fogarty play for Manly. I just don't understand the Raiders doing that. I still just don't kind of believe it. It doesn't make sense to me. I think for me, Fogarty stays at the Raiders, but I do love that. If I was Manly, I'd literally be on the blower to everyone and anyone that's been putting out there. Like, I'd even be ringing Luai. Like, Luai's only, potentially only got 1 year, 2 years on him. So, like, I'd be ringing him and saying, would you be interested? Luai there. I think Galvin's the chat's coming up. Fogarty, obviously. I did hear this today, the Turbo news going to the 5'8", and I freaking love that for him. I really like that for him. He's not going to be he's not going to be so relied on to run, and so then he can pick and choose. It'll save his body a lot more. And I think he can play, he can set up the team and help in the halves. And I think Brooks is a capable halfback, for sure. So in terms of, there's a difference between capable and good, Jake. So I think Brooks is capable to do that, and Turbo next to him, I think would be I really like that. And put Hopewadi at fullback, it would be, awesome.
Jake, your final thoughts before we move on?
Tim got there before I could. Jake Arthur to save Manly and take them to their first.
Oh wow! I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I went to you, Chris Ross. YouTube comments starting to fly in, so I appreciate that. Pezzett at the moment is under contract. They've extended him, and I think he has to wait to see what happens with Hughes. I believe if Hughes does extend, he does have a get out, but who knows what happens there. But at the moment, I don't think any club would be trying to focus their plans on Pezzett, because in the meantime, he'll be there for quite some time, in my opinion. Let's move on. Plenty more to talk about tonight, guys. We have warned you. There's plenty. So let's have it. Parramatta. We're not going into as such how they're going. What I want to talk about actually is the fact that Nathan Harmarsh is on the Buy Round podcast with James Graham. Shout out to him if you don't listen to him yet. Give him a listen to after you listen to us, obviously. It's a great quality podcast. They have a bit of fun, a bit of a laugh as well, which is great. But he actually toyed with the idea of, after Dylan Brown's form to start the year, he has put out there and said that initially he wasn't for this idea, but after watching how Brown has been playing, he'd be toying up the idea of actually letting Brown go ASAP. He'd be pretty much all for it, which I thought was pretty big. That's a club legend, a quite recent club legend as well, which is still in and around the club at times. I know he's been at the club a couple of times. So big for him to say that. But I think it also speaks volumes about where Dylan Brown has got to as a player. And I think I feel for him for the boos. Like I do. But at the same time, the performances he's putting in, just from an effort point of view, I watched it on the weekend. It just simply was not good enough at all. Like, wasn't good. Not first grade standard. Probably not even New South Wales Cup standard. He had a game there on the weekend where he couldn't – it's not about standing up in terms of organising the side, but he could have stood up, been in and around the ruck, being a support player, using his footwork, and he would have probably scored a couple of tries if he actually was in the game on the weekend, and he just wasn't. So, Trav, I'll go to you first as the non-fan. I don't want to get too passionate about this one, but do you agree with Hindy? Would you be looking at ways to shipping Brown off now?
Nah, not now. It's still only bloody round 4. You still owe your members who signed up to play to sign and paid for their seats, signed their membership, knowing that Dylan Brown was going to be there. I think you owe that there's just a lot going on there. I just don't think I think your club's too young. There's too many problems. I don't like that you would just check him out and say, see you later. I get why people are saying it though. Like obviously, let's get rid of him. We're losing, so why not just keep losing? Well, as soon as you get rid of him and you start putting these young guys in, you're going to lose by a hell of a lot more. And then does that do more harm to these kids than good? And I don't think it does good. I don't think it does. My opinion is that you need to keep him. You need to keep these guys around for as long as you can. I just don't believe that he's a cultural killer. I don't think he's doing that. I don't think in the sheds he's doing anything wrong in terms of, that cultural side of things. So I just think you just got to keep him there and just play out that contract. You knew he was going, or you knew there was a potential for this. It's just, I just don't see it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Just on this one, Diggs. So he said apparently in his headspace is bad. That's what Talking Para said. He ain't handling the pressure. Well, that's on him and his manager. He's the one that's done the deal. He's the one that organised what has happened, and probably should have expected a little bit of backlash. Like it is passionate fan base that has been through a hell of a lot over the last 40 odd years. I don't think it was going to be all rainbows and butterflies and cupcakes. So it was always going to happen, and that's up to him. Like if I was his manager, if I was involved with Dylan Brown at all, I'd be giving him the advice of whatever you're doing for that 80 minutes, go out there and try your backside off. Go back to what he used to do. He used to cover defense. He'd always be there. On the weekend, he's just nowhere. He just felt like he was in a shadow of himself, which isn't great. Jake, your thoughts on this one?
Well, I've got a million things I could say about this, but I'm going to try and really compact it. Okay. First thing I'll say is a lot of the things we've been talking about with Brown about like why he's been playing bad and why he hasn't been in form and whatever is because he's been in the 7 and he's been like what should be the controlling half of the game. Even when Volkman was there, we said, he should stand up and do all that. This week was the first opportunity where we had Hawkins in the halfback role. So he was organizing the team around more than Brown was. And Brown had the opportunity when we were down, it was 6 points in it. We had plenty of ball. And he had the opportunity to come out and absolutely, to show why he's. I'm not talking about the contract, but to show why he's worth what he's worth and to actually do something. He didn't. We all know that he didn't step up and he didn't do any of that, and he hasn't done that sort of for a while. Would I drop him? No, I wouldn't drop him. Okay, I would potentially consider the idea of experimenting with his position, put him in like a 13. I was about to say. Put him in a 13 or something along those lines, okay? And then try to maybe develop your other players or whatever, because then you can put Hopgood around, you can shift the team around or whatever. But I don't know. For now, just simplify his job role, okay? And I know we all say that a million times, but if he's struggling with, and I understand what you said, Joel, with the whole like contract and everything, but if he's struggling mentally with like the pressure and stuff like that, simplify the crap out of his job role. Your job is to either shift it on nice and simple or just get, motor, go straight, just take a run motor and just get yourself into the game first. Don't worry about winning, and trying to win the game in the first 10 minutes. Just focus on getting yourself into the rhythm of it and actually into the game and being present. That's what he's not at the moment. He's not present. I don't want to get rid of him this year. I'd like to see him see out his contract, to be honest. But, the performances have been dreadful.
He's screaming out for Moses to return. And just shout out to Jace. Obviously, guys, you know Jace from Advisory. Been on the show a number of times. We'll be on the show a couple of times throughout this year, no doubt, with some big legal news, obviously, whenever that does pop out. But he mentions get rid of Brown or put him at 13 and let him run around with no pressure. But when Moses is back, we don't need him. This is where I actually see the opposite. 13 and 6 should be exactly the same, in a way, position. If anything, the modern-day 13 does a lot more. We've seen it with Yo, Cam Murray when he plays 13. They're actually a second halfback. I don't think 13 would suit Brown whatsoever. I'd rather him stick at a 6, but what he's screaming out for is that traditional halfback like Moses, who literally just does everything, and he can go back to playing his traditional game. So I would do the opposite. To avoid the wooden spoon, I would keep him for the year, and I would just pray, if I was club management or Jason Riles, that when Moses is back, he is actually fully fit this time and takes the pressure off completely off Brown. He can go back to his proper running game, which is what he is. He's a 5'8". And we get that New Zealand status star in that 6 jersey. That's when, if he doesn't pull his finger out of his ass, once Moses is back, he has no excuse. I would then drop him, and I would then start to go, you know what, let's go. But at the end of the day, why would you want to strengthen someone like the Knights and we then go and suffer the wooden spoon this year? I just think for what we've got at the moment, there's no one else who can come into the 6 jersey that's better. Even by their best standard, I think the gap is quite large compared to Dylan Brown, even at normally a 6 out of 10 game. So I just personally wouldn't, at the moment, be even entertaining shipping him off, but I would be saying to him, you really need to start pulling out a bit and at least putting all I want as a fan, I just want to see him have effort on the field. All I want, effort. Trav, any final words before I move on?
No, there's a couple of nice comments that I've read, and I sort of agree. I disagree with you slightly there, and agree with Jason and sort of what Jake said about. I think it would be good as a 13, because I get the modern day thing, but not every. There ain't too many Isaiah Yos in this competition. Actually, there are none. It's just him. So therefore, that 13 role is not as in depth as what you're saying. Isaiah Yo is just a whole nother level. I think he would do a really good job there. But in saying that, you're sort of robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? You're putting him in the 13. You're still going to have to replace him. You're taking him out to try and put someone into the halves. You're still going to have those young guys down there. So I like it and I don't. I also agree with a comment that was made a lot earlier around, this comment of him having, or the people putting pressure on to say, just get rid of him, right? Why would you just get rid of him and help Newcastle? Like, what's Para's agenda here? Like, why would they want to do that? Why have they got any interest and love to want to help another club, a rival club? Like, so at the end of the day, don't bother. Why would you bother?
I can say something on that. I don't think that him going over there is going to help them, to be honest with you. In the form he's in the way he's playing, and I don't even think next year, I don't think he's going to help them. So I know you're saying, what you're saying, why would we let him go over there to help them? I don't think him going over there actually does help them. And that isn't Para's concern. If it's not working for them and they're trying to improve themselves, letting him go, whether it affects another team or not, won't be something they're thinking about.
I don't know how you even think that, to be honest, because we all screaming out to say Dylan Brown needs to have needs to have playmakers beside him so that he's not the sole dude, right? Well, when he goes to the Newcastle, he's going to have a few playmakers. There's one of the best playmakers in the competition in Ponga. Pretty sure that would help him a lot. So that would help Newcastle enormously. It would also help Newcastle enormously to get out of this nightmare situation of having all these halfbacks that they've got, right? Yeah, they've stumbled across Fletcher Sharp, and that's helped them. We all know that they don't particularly want to, or they're not wanting to play. It's Cogger, isn't it? They're not wanting to play Cogger there, so they can slot him straight into that spot, and off they go. Like I don't see how you can't say that Newcastle would be not a better place not better off with him there.
I think it would be a much clearer Dylan Brown up there. If he was to go, he'd get away from what it is at the moment. We'd see a completely different player. One fun thing I want to say on this, and I feel like it needs to be said, I haven't heard many Para people say it at all, but I think there's a bit of a false security out there around Moses and him coming back to this side, because feel there's a lot of fans out there who believe Moses will come back and we literally become just this perfect team again and everything's A-okay. I'm telling you right now, and I've warned you about several things in the past. I don't want to be that guy, but our forward pack is dreadful, absolutely dreadful. Whether they put in a better effort on the weekend, they still let in one of the softest tries I've seen in a rugby league field. And there was players literally standing behind the ruck, pointing at apparently an offence in the ruck instead of working his ass off to get back on side. Until our forward pack improves and gets better, which won't happen this year while we've got the players that we do have there, Moses won't be able to do anything. They're playmakers, and this is in the Dylan Brown argument, you can bag him all you want, but at the same time, if the forwards aren't going forward, there is not a single playmaker in the world who can play off that, apart from if your name is Nathan Cleary. And unfortunately, we don't have Nathan Cleary. He is the only proven halfback who can play off a forward pack that's getting beaten.
Even he couldn't play off what we've got. He could not play off, not consistently, not every week at least. He might be able to do it once, in a blue moon. But off the forward pack we've got going on right now, even Nathan Cleary couldn't play off that. Sorry.
I just think there's a lot of delusional fan. I know we've got a large para fan base out here, and I just want to let them know and pre-warn them that it's not going to be a quick fix at all. It's going to take some time. Our forward pack is dreadful. And I used to say this for years, and Jake, you know this, about our back line. That has finally been fixed, and I think we've got a really good back line. But at the moment, it's going to be wasted while our forward pack is literally rolled each and every week. But that's my views on that. What I will go to now is the Gold Coast Titans. Before we go to a bit of fun, I've got a new segment about to launch that we're really keen to get into. I think every nerdy NRL fan will love it as well, which is everyone in this chat. The Gold Coast Titans boys had a really good win on the weekend. I did mention it. I did say earlier when we're talking about Cherry Evans is that I feel like they're just an organising halfback away from being a genuine top probably 6 team. Their forward pack's great. Their back line is really big meter-eating sort of backs that can score a great try as well. They've got excitement in Keeney, in Brimson, and in Campbell. They worked that okay on the weekend, but it was against the Knights side that looked dreadful and looked like that side we've picked to get the spoon. But where are we at, Jake? Do you think the Gold Coast Titans are a top 8 football side this year?
No. I think...
Okay, Trav.
I think that they have got a team that can surprise teams this year. I think that they have got a pretty decent forward pack, good backs. I think what they lack, and we kind of touched up on it earlier on why we would want DCE over there, is the fact that both of their halves are more running halves than they are organising halves, right? Which can work. It can work very rarely if it all works out quite well, but I just think in general you need to have at least one organising half to take your troops around, and I just don't think they have that. I think they're going to find that in games where it comes down to like a very close match and, they need that one try in a game, they need to be organised around to make it happen, they're not going to get there. And they're the games that they'll lose that other better teams will win. And I think that's going to happen a few times throughout the year, and I think that they're not going to make it, unfortunately.
Trav, do you think the Titans are a top 8 football side this year?
No, I don't. I think we have to be realistic. They got belted by the Bulldogs in week 1, or their week 1, so 2 weeks ago. And they just beat up a Knights team that was missing Leo Thompson, Dylan Lucas, Saifidi. No, he played because the brothers played against each other. They were missing 3. I think they were missing 3 of their pack, right? So they were missing 3 of their best pack, which is huge. To me, that's a massive difference. That's a massive deal, and they beat them up. But really, they 26-6. To me, that's not a huge loss, win for them. So no, I think on paper there's some guns there. Like I really like Keeney as a fullback. I think Brian Kelly's underrated. Jaden Campbell's going to be a superstar. Mofo's not a bad front rower. Obviously RCG, we know what he's like, and clearly he's only been back and hasn't played at all up until today. You go through, I can keep going through those lists and individually say that they're all some good dudes and good players, but I don't see them playing finals. Jake summed it up really well. Jake said they will surprise teams. They will surprise teams. They will win games that we don't expect them to. If it all turns on, they in any given time they can beat any team. I just don't think it's going to happen as much.
Yeah, I think they're a very entertaining team. I just want to keep seeing this defensive resolve that we've seen on the weekend, which I thought has always been the Achilles heel to the Gold Coast Titans. They can always score. No one has ever doubted them scoring points. They've shown time and time again they can. But the fact is they can always lose games 38 points to 36, and they're probably one of the only teams in the comp that can do that. They need to start doing what they did on the weekend a lot more and to better quality oppositions, keeping them to 1 or 2 tries and scoring 3 or 4 themselves. I want to see them actually. I know they smashed the Knights on the weekend, but I'll get more excited about them when they win a gritty game 10 points to 8, because I know that then that's the Desi sort of team, and that's what I want to see from them and win that sort of style. So until that happens, I can't declare them as a top 8 team. I would love to. I really have big expectations on their squad on paper. I just want them to start delivering more than just on paper. We've spoken about it too many times every year about them being on paper. It just doesn't work. So, all righty, guys, the new segment. We are very excited at the moment. I am pumped. Chav's freaking out. He's just going with it. He doesn't mind. But we've got a new segment. It's going to be the League of Inches draft. This will go over a number of weeks throughout the live shows. We need your help as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to act as if we've got a brand new franchise, and the current list is the current NRL 2025 rosters and the players that are playing. We get to sign our whole entire top 30. Now, on air, you'll only see our top 17, but we have to work in amongst the cap. So we've got $11.8 million to spend from our 1 to 30 players. And tonight, we're going to kick off with the fullbacks. So how this will work, this is a draft. So we will all list who we want to sign. If one of us wants to sign the other player's player, it goes into a bidding war, and whoever is willing to go the highest wins it. Now, if the last person gets to then name, let's say Pappenhausen, for instance, and they go, I'm going to sign Pappenhausen for 200,000. We obviously then it's a bit fair. We go, no, that's way below market value. You can't sign Pappenhausen for 200 grand. And that's why we need you guys in the comments to help out as well. If there is something you feel like is going under the radar that should be picked up, let us know in the comments. But let's do the fullbacks, boys. Let's go. First of all, let's see who wants to spend up big on their ones. For mine, I'll start by saying this. If I'm building my team, and I love this stuff, I'm a massive rugby league nerd when it comes to all this. I think fullback has become the second most important position in the team, quickly becoming arguably the most important because there's not many Nathan Clearys out there, unfortunately. But there is still a number of very good quality fullbacks out there. So, Jake, you're the youngster. I'll let you go first. Which player are you wanting to or hoping to sign and for how much at fullback?
Dylan Edwards. So I'd be signing Dylan Edwards. The question is, I don't know if I'm lowballing here. I think 850,000.
What do you think, Trav? 850 and in the comments, 850 for Dylan Edwards. Do we think that is a lowball offer, or do we think that is a good deal? Are we going to allow that? And other question is, Trav, are you interested in Dylan Edwards, and was he someone you were wanting to purchase?
No, I am not interested in Dylan Edwards.
You happy with 850?
Would Dylan Edwards sign for 850? No, he wouldn't. So,
what's he on at the moment at the Panthers? Do we know what he's on roughly at the Panthers?
No one. We don't know how much they're on. We don't have it.
I think at least 950. I feel like for a.
You don't reckon 900? You honestly don't reckon 900's fair?
Let's. He's the New South Wales fullback. He's the Australian fullback.
Yeah, only this year.
There's been a couple of comments already saying way too low ball for sure. You've been picked out of the first one.
There you go. So Adam in the comments is a massive Panthers fan. He said he's on 800K, and I'd actually believe that. I'm fairly sure he's not on. I'm fairly certain he's not.
I'm looking at zero tackle now.
Yeah, he's on unders.
He's on unders. I'm looking at zero tackle now, and they've predicted 850 for
Well,
2025,
there you go. So I'm
850 for
pretty sure I've
26,
nailed that.
and 850 for 27.
I'm pretty confident I've nailed that, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, are you happy with it, Trav? 850?
Oh, yeah. I don't want him, so, yep.
I don't want Edwards either, Jake. So I'm happy for you to have Dylan Edwards at 850K. Yes, your first
That's
signing
good,
for your
'cause I want
club.
him.
Can you just let us know quickly your team name? Where's it going to be based out of? What's the mascot? You got anything for us?
Oh,
Spur of the
you
moment?
said we did. You said we don't need to research, and then you can't throw that at
No,
me.
you don't.
Jesus,
Okay, well, wait. You
gotta
can
give-
you hit us with that at next week's show. You have a week to come up with where you're going to be based and what you're going to
There
be
you go.
called from next week's show. All right.
Yeah, you're onto it.
Um,
Righto, done.
Yeah, exactly right, Jay. And a few others. 850 before Origin. So
Hey, you said yes. The agreement's been made. All right.
all right. We're there. Trav,
The deal's been.
I'll
The
let
deal's been
you two
signed.
go first. Who are you looking to sign?
I'll sign. Seeing as we're going unders, like what Jake's saying, I'll take Pappenhausen at 250K.
That's with a few boats and cars and a couple of houses.
I
mate,
agree.
I-
I agree.
let's-
Dylan Edwards is worth. I agree. Dylan Edwards is worth 700K more than Pappenhausen. I agree.
What's your legit offer for Pat?
No, I'm not taking Pappenhausen. All right, let's go a big dog. I'm going to go a big dog, and I'm going to go give me Ponga for 1.3.
Ooh, fair enough. That's a fair.
I
I think it's a
respect
fair
that.
amount.
He's
going big dog.
That. I think that's a great offer, guys. So let us know in the comments. You've been roofing into this. You love this already. I love it. I'm happy with 1.3 for Ponga. I think that is a very fair offer. Comments?
Yep, I'm pretty happy with 1.3. I think for Ponga that myself. I don't know about the comments yet.
I got 15.8. Yeah, to clarify, 15.8, and also just
11.8. 15.
11.8. Sorry. To clarify,
Well, you have a Melbourne Storm cap.
And at least I'm asking the question. Shut up. And the other question is: so this is are we taking this around the idea that we are brand new? So essentially, Jake's Papua New Guinea. I'm South New Zealand. And so does that put a little bit more money and put a little bit overs on some of these people trying to get them to come? Like, are we playing it that far, or are we just going?
No.
Okay,
you can be based wherever you want.
It's only because a question was asked and someone made the comment just before around if it's a new club, he would get at least $1 million. So just thought I would ask that one. But yeah, no, I'll take, if you agree, I'll take Ponga at 1.3.
I almost forgot, and Adam just brought it up in the comments again, is that they're talking about apparently the Knights are going to offer him $2 million. We might be getting ripped here, Joel.
All right. So sorry, Trav.
No,
that's when everything goes up. That's the new
1.3.
TV deal and all that sort of thing. So
Yeah, no, 1.3.
I think that's
2025, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm only kidding.
Tax-free salary. Tim's all over this. Papua New Guinea. Tax-free salary.
Yeah, go to Papua New Guinea.
So I get to add the tax on top of the 1.3 too. So he's not just getting 1.3, he's getting
yeah, offer him less and they get paid more.
Are you boys happy with me signing Tom Trbojevic 1.3 as well?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think 1.3 is fine.
I'd argue that in their best, because I assume we're sort of talking about them playing at their best. Like we're trying to sort of say,
this is what we would sign for 2025. I don't mind that. Yeah, I'm happy. As zero tackles got him at 1.2, so you're paying 100 grand over.
Oh, I think I need.
Yeah, I'd still argue at his best he's worth 1.3 for sure.
I was going to actually suggest 1.2. I thought you guys might have been a bit mean to me and gone, nah, that's overs. That's under. So jack it up a bit more. And I was thinking injury wise, but yeah, look, luckily we're in the universe at the moment, Tim, where we're just going for them all their best. We're going their best. So lock us in. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We'll be doing that each and every week moving forward. So next week we will have, we'll probably keep going the spine, actually. We're going to get our spines done first. So we'll go halfback next week. And the homework at the moment, boys, is we need to come up with our team name and the mascot by next week. Thank you very much. Last one for the night.
Jake's just got Edwards at a bargain. 850.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here saying,
Current New South, incumbent
damn.
New South Wales and Australia
God
fullback.
damn.
I've gone in for 500k less than you.
Yeah,
Got
you
your
got
fullbacks, but I'm
450k
okay.
extra to play. You
Dangerous.
better take Cleary next week, and you better be paying him $2 million.
Yeah, he'll get. You
2
million
better.
for sure.
I'm going to say no if it's anything less than 2. Just so you know.
I think it's fair to say Cleary will be the highest paid in this. I think it's fair to say.
100%.
And I think we
Yeah,
have
Jake.
have to make
Jake's getting Cleary. It's $2 million. Let's already put that down.
2 mil. Come on now.
So what
Okay,
position
and-
next week, Joel? So everyone knows.
halfback. We're going to do halfback next week. So we're going to get our spines done first. And then every few weeks, like for instance, wingers and centers, anything that has a 2-player position, we're going to do those at the same time. So that way it does quicken the process. But this will be going through throughout the year, have a bit of fun. And obviously this is because the new teams are arriving soon. So get people thinking that way and hopefully help you guys understand what it takes to build a roster and what goes into it, because we've gone large, me and Trav, early, but we're going to have to already. I'm thinking I need to get some cheap forwards or something, or a nice deal for an outside back and see what I can do. So really good bit of fun there. All right, let's go to tips for round 4. We did miss this last week, so apologies, boys. Trav then roasted me in the comments afterwards in our chat to say, hey, we've got our tips on the to discuss it. So my apologies, because we did need to get to the questions as well. So South Sydney versus the Penrith Panthers on Thursday night. Just go around the room, basically just say who we want to go for. Jake?
Penrith.
Trav?
Oh, I really want to tip the Roosters in this one. But
It's Rabbitohs.
Sorry, it is the Rabbitohs.
Roosters already beat Penrith, mate.
Yeah, they did too. Sorry, I'm sitting here trying to write my list out already. I
He's
just got
getting
distracted.
going.
I'm down to, I've written all 30 and I've started writing who I'm going for. I got distracted. Sorry, everybody.
You're dead set Michael Schofield. So I'm watching Prison Break at the moment. That's you. Your mind doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't.
He's still trying to keep it.
I'm going Rabbitohs.
Oh, look out. It is at Acor. So no, I'm going.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Penrith.
When was the last time Penrith lost 2 in a row? Does anyone know that?
Oh, probably 2018, 2019.
You reckon it was that far away?
The last time they had 30 put on them was 2019.
Yeah, wow. Like to lose 3 in a row it would be incredible.
Oh, no, 40. Sorry, the last time I had 40 was 2019.
What about, I'm going Penrith. I think Penrith will win. Roosters versus the Titans at Allianz, Friday, 6 o'clock game. Trav?
I'm going the Roosters.
I will be... Oh, this is a hard one. I actually haven't even looked at this week's game so far. I reckon this is a huge test for the Titans. If they can get up for this and get a win, I think this is a huge statement. I'll declare him a top 8 team if they win this next week. But no Watson. I think that's a huge out. I'm going to get the Titans. Titans for an upset. Jake?
No, I'm going to go Roosters as well. I think they have more class than what they showed against the Warriors, because they showed it against Penrith, and I think they just had a bad game. They'll bring it back.
Have you got some fans in the comments? Just thought I'd show you this while we're going. Something like it's Leon, the Rabbitohs fan. The Brisbane Derby. Here we go. This is my house, and Stags is back. The Dolphins versus the Broncos at Suncorp Stadium. Tell you what, if I'm feeling up to it, I might end up going out to this game. I think this will be a cracker. I will be going the Broncos. I think the Broncos might, unfortunately, touch the Dolphins up. I've been really disappointed with them so far this year. Jake?
Every time I've tipped the Dolphins so far, I've lost, so I'm going Brisbane.
So, have you tipped them all 3 weeks?
No, I got it right last week. I tipped them wrong I tipped them wrong first 2 weeks in a row.
Trav?
I think it's funny, Joel, how you said you might make your way out to that game because it's going to be a cracker, and then said Broncos will win in a whitewash. Cracker.
I like the derby. Like it's in a good atmosphere, cracking atmosphere.
Oh yeah, okay. Broncos easily.
Dragons versus the Storm. Dragons off the bye. Net Strata Jubilee. I feel like the Dragons have played a lot of home games already. Where are we? Jake.
I have got the Melbourne Storm because I think I don't need to explain myself. Melbourne Storm that.
Trav.
Storm.
Yeah, I'll go the Storm in that one. Cowboys versus the Raiders at Townsville. Interesting. This is pretty much even $1.90, $1.94 in the betting. Cowboys slight favourites, which I find a bit crazy. Trav, who are you tipping this one?
This is a tough one. I actually think this is a tough one because I think eventually something's going to click for the Cowboys. I thought they played pretty well for a chunk of the game against the Broncos. It was, now this game's up in Townsville. But I think the inclusion of Tarpany is huge for the Raiders. And I think that changes their whole outlook. I think I much prefer Horsburgh going to the 13 and freeing him up a little bit more. I just saw last week just a bit restrictive how he was. I think the 13 is just a really nice spot for him. And Tarpany just straightens him up and changes that whole team. So I can't look past the Tarpany inclusion for the Raiders, but I actually think this is going to be a cracker, and I'm really looking forward to watching this one.
I reckon Ricky's pissed at the game as a whole. He's going to have his team ready to go for this one. He is ready. I think the Raiders will bounce back after being embarrassed against Manly. Again, I'll say it. I really feel for him. The travel that they've been asked to do to start the year is a bit unfair, in my opinion, after going to Vegas. That's another story. I'll go the Raiders bounce back. Jake?
I'm going Raiders bounce back as well. Queensland haven't showed me anything that can even make me think that they're going to get Canberra, and Ricky, like you said, is going to absolutely flog them and go, basically, you bunch of numpties, why did you do what you did last week? They'll come back. They'll flog them. I reckon they'll win I reckon they win him in a landslide here.
He'll flog the refs. I don't think he'll flog his players. I think he was in his players' corner on the weekend. He wanted to flog the refs. Sharkies versus the Bulldogs. This will be a close one, actually. I know the Dogs are a little bit under strength, but they showed on the weekend against the Eels that they'll just fight. We know what the Dogs will do these days. They'll just get in the trenches. They'll fight whoever is on the field. It won't be pretty, but they just won't stop. So I think the Sharks in a close one. Jake?
I definitely think the Sharks. I don't think it's as close as you think it's going to be. I think just because there's no Burton and no Thingo. You said that, they got into the fight. They were versing Parramatta, who were bottom of the comp. It's easy to say that, but, they're not versing Sharks. Sharks will win this.
Yeah, you took all my comments out of that, Jake. They were in for a fight. Well, they fought against Para, so I'm not sure that's a big fight. They stood up where they had to. They just did what they had to do. I didn't really like the way the Bulldogs played last week. I think the Sharks will dominate them. I think a Burton kick-out makes that Bulldogs team completely different. And this game would be different, but they're not there. Sharks in a very clear landslide, I think.
Off the back of the DCE bombshell, will he get booed? Not too sure. I think there might be a little bit of the crowd that might be a bit angry. At home, 4 points. Manly versus the Eels, the Sunday 4:00 game on Channel 9. Jakey boy, you already said it earlier. You're on Manly.
I did, but I'm going to say this. If Manly boo Daly Cherry Evans, I'm going to steal your line one more time. I feel like I'm doing this a lot lately. They have got dead set rocks in their head because that is rubbish. That is rubbish from Manly fans if they boo Cherry Evans is all I'm going to say. And yeah, I think Manly, instead of going 13 plus, Manly 20 plus. Absolute shellacking this week incoming for us. I'm so excited.
Turbo's been named. I have a whisper.
Can't wait for my Sunday to be ruined.
Just on the rocks in your head, if you do want a shirt, just message the page, guys. We'll be able to get something out to you, please.
Did you say whispers? Whispers of what?
I've heard something today about Turbo not being a guarantee to play this week, there's some thoughts around the club that while they risk it for a shellacking when they've got the bye coming up. So see what happens there.
It's a fair point.
Not saying anything, just saying something that I've heard.
Jake, I think, and listeners, I think that's more Joel trying to justify that he traded or wants to trade him out of his super coach more than anything. And Joel's just
no, not this week. We've got too many things to do this week. I can't afford
it. That's because you stuffed up last week. Let's talk. I can't wait to talk about that tomorrow. Manly dominated the Raiders last weekend. They will dominate the Eels by double that. Manly to put on at least 60.
Oh, at least 60 is crazy.
Wow.
Possibly 60 is fair. At least 60 is
at least 60.
A minimum. You're saying they're going to put in a minimum of 60 points. The minimal score they will put on us is 60 points.
Yep, 100%.
I reckon we should put a bet on you and me live on air.
I'm happy to take that live on air. I'm taking.
Yeah,
hang on. I wasn't even. Oh, you want to do a bet? No, I'm not a betting.
Yeah, you and me. I see. Yeah, right. Scared.
No. I put it on live TV. People will see 60 points, Manly. The only reason why they don't is because they stop.
We've got questions to get to still, so let's keep on track here. I'll go Manly, but I'll say this prediction. I'll be picking the Eels with the start. I think there'll be a bit of a fight here. And I think this Cherry Evans news will really rattle Manly, and it'll start this weekend. Tigers against the Warriors to round out the games. I think the Tigers are on fire. They're going to win 3 in a row. Jake?
I've got Tigers as well. I think they're finally starting to get some damn confidence, and I love seeing it. I really do. I didn't love seeing it start against us, but I love seeing it. I want to see them succeed.
Trav?
This to me is my prediction for game of the round. I think the Warriors have something to prove and come over. And think that I can't wait to watch this. I love that. Unlike so many people, I love that 5:15 Sunday afternoon time slot. Up the Waz. I'm going the Waz, even with the RTS out.
Question time, guys. So you know what to do by now. If you haven't got one in yet, get your questions in. We will get to them, no doubt. Let's go via the comment section on Facebook first to give you guys some time to get them in. Shannon McIntyre. First, we had Finn throwing pies. Now the Rabbitohs mascot is throwing hands. At this rate, do we need to start tracking attacks per game as an official stat? Shannon, you're on fire. I don't condone anything that happened on the weekend, guys. Mascots pushing little kids, and I don't condone the pie throwing either. So I'm not laughing because of that. I'm
laughing at the wordplay more than anything. First we have throwing pies, then we have throwing hands. That's just gold.
That is sensational for me. Shannon, when you listen to this or watch, if you have left and you'll get back to it, message the page. That's got you a cooler. So I'll get you one out straight away. Simon Barnes, which club could use DCE the most? We've already spoken about. Dolphins partner with Katoa, Roosters partner with Walker, Parramatta with Moses, maybe even the Raiders if they part with Fogs. Well, we have already mentioned that, so I won't go into that anymore. Here we go. Jessica's put a comment in once again. Now, Jessica's a massive fan of the show. I really appreciate your support, Jess, for everything we are doing. Always amazing questions. This one promises to be a good one as well. Bear with me. After the Canberra Raiders 40-12 loss to the Manly Sea Eagles, Coach Ricky Stewart expressed frustration over the officiating, highlighting a lopsided penalty count and a controversial obstruction call that disallowed a crucial try. Stewart questioned the consistency of rule interpretations and called on NRL CEO Andrew Abdo for explanations. Referee consistency. Are these systemic issues with how rules are interpreted and enforced across NRL matches? Why? Given Stewart was part of a committee in the off-season to discuss and refine the interpretation of the NRL rules. Why does he believe this has gone out the window? What needs to be done better? Wowee. Honestly, you're that far above us at the moment. I feel like just every question you do each week, I struggle to read. I'm a rugby league man. I don't know half of these words you're saying, but I appreciate it. Exactly right. Let's just hang on. What a question. We'll stand and applaud. Now, Trav, I'll throw this to you first. Good luck. Let us know your thoughts.
Oh, why do I always get thrown in the deep end on all these questions, man?
I just have a feeling, Jess, ever since she bagged you about Supercoach, I feel like she has a thing for you.
Yeah, I'd hate to be at home with her. I
don't know the questions you'll get.
Right, it is a quality question. I did read this on the page today. Just before the podcast came in, and I joined this. So I'll break it down. So referee consistencies, I'm looking at my phone so I can see the question to answer this correctly. Are there systemic issues? So just so you know that it's systemic, Joel.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, a word I've never heard before.
Are there systemic issues with how rules are interpreted and enforced across NRL matches? Yes, 100%. Cannot agree with that more and say yes to that question to answer that. The problem is, and the issue is that these rules are too much up for interpretation, right? And unfortunately, any of these referees, as they turn up every day to each game, will interpret things differently each game, and that creates a problem. And this is all the fans are crying out for. All we want is consistency. Like, okay, we're happy with mistakes to be made. We're happy with penalties to be called, as long as the penalties are called the same game in and game out. It's as simple as that. And it's not. And then what pisses off even more is that we get to the big games, like the Storm Penrith game, and that game is reffed completely different to the game the next day. And then of those 2 days, right? So within less than 24 hours, one game is refereed and called completely different to what it was. I'm a Storm fan. I understand. I know that there were a handful of those bits and pieces that happened last week that I watched, and I went, I get it. That's what we do, and we do it, and we have done it for years. Penrith do the same thing, and we're renowned for being able to play with the rules and exploit it as much as we can. Other clubs don't do it. But the thing that pissed me off is that I then go and watch the next two games and just can't and just see that it's inconsistent and not the same. So then we move to each week, right? And then they all go and do their reviews, and each week they go and they sit in their sheds and watch the games and do all those things. And then it's ruled again, and it's different again. And it's a complete opposite the week after. And then we get to Origin, and it's refed completely different for that. Yet they still put up suspensions and things like that for those bits and pieces. Then we get to finals, and it's a whole different kettle of fish again. So there is a systemic issue in this of inconsistency and interpretation that's 100% enforced across this game. The next part of this, and I'll take it even to another level of that, is that so is the judiciary system. The judiciary system is incredibly interpreted differently and exploited and enforced differently across all the matches. So to answer that question, absolutely, in a long-winded way. Why? Because, I get sick of this issue of it's human. We're human. So, we interpret things different. We do things. I think the issue is why is because there's too much power and people in wrong spots, and there's too much conflict of interest, to be honest. So in my opinion, there's too much conflict of interest, and that's why it's enforced differently. I don't know if you want to let me keep going, or you guys want to jump in on that.
Jake, do you have anything to add to this before we go back to the Trav explanation or answer?
I'll try to keep it quick, because that was a very good answer from Trav and very detailed. So I don't feel like I need to go into heaps of detail with this. But what I'll say is, what's that, sorry?
Thanks, Jake. That was very nice.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right, mate. But this kind of thing I'm trying to actually figure out how I want to put. Yeah, he does deserve a cooler. I agree.
He's got one.
Yeah, lovely. So basically, the way I want to say is the referees, yes, they referee differently to each other, right? You've said that the inconsistencies between them is what you're kind of trying to highlight. Some people, and this is what I want to try and bring the chat into it because that's where I'm sort of seeing, is they're saying that different referees referee differently for different teams. And it's more of a question, I suppose, for me than more of a talking point. But do you feel like different, like these referees? Somebody put there that Damien Cook said that each ref is consistent for themselves in each game that they referee, and I suppose that's something I've never looked too closely at because I'm always focusing myself on the differences between the referees. I'd actually like to have a good look at games refereed by the same ref in a row, or in all the refs, 3 in a row by the same ref, and see if they are refereed the same. Do you guys believe that different referees referee differently for different teams?
Yes.
As opposed to just refereeing differently amongst each other, even if it was the same referee across each week, do they referee differently for different teams?
Yes.
I don't know if they go out of their way to do it on purpose. It's very clear to me that the home teams get the rub of the green more often than not. And whether that's to do with the home fans booing and stuff and making noise, and that's just a natural human reaction, whether it's an unconscious bias that majority of the time the home teams are the favourites as well. So that means they get the 50-50 calls. That naturally is what happens. Trav said it spot on, and I'm glad he did mention it because he mentioned he's a Storm fan. He sees it, and he's one of the better Storm fans that I know. But I remember we said it on Sunday night, Jake. There was so much that got away with that game on Thursday that it was actually ridiculous, like some of the stuff. But then you go fast forward then to the Raiders Manly game, and they're getting pinned for almost everything. It felt like it was like, oh, hang on, I just watched this 3 days ago be okay, and now it's not. Like, are you not doing that because it was 2 heavyweights and you just said, oh, we'll put the whistle in the pocket and away we go? Well, if that's the way you're going to ref it, do that to every game. And we've said this before on the page about every time we get to finals football, it becomes a completely different game. And I hate that. I've continually say that I hate that part of our game, that if they want to referee the finals one way, that's how they referee the whole year, because that's when you'll see the best teams in the competition. Now, we've got rules for a reason. Like someone brought in the foot on the play of the ball. That crackdown's already stopped. I reckon I could have counted 25 times on the weekend at least where there was no foot on the ball, not even an attempt, and it wasn't picked up. Where round 1 or 2, that was picked up. It's very frustrating. I get where Ricky Stewart was going with it. Alarmingly, the NRL obviously respect Ricky Stewart a lot, and they had him in that meeting at the start of the year, which for him to come out and say what he did say, I think he was very smart about it, which is credit to Ricky, because normally he would just absolutely blow up and make a fool out of himself. I actually think this one, for once, Ricky can hold his head up really high, because I think he handled himself in the presser really well. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If referees aren't going to be held accountable for their actions, I don't know why we're having these press conferences anymore. Because if the coaches can't criticize the refs in this or criticize decisions, there is no point anymore in having these press conferences, because all you're doing is basically making the coaches go out to a gunfight with a bloody a cooler, a League of Inches cooler, and they're not going to win, unfortunately. So I hate it. But great question. Absolutely love it. And I think it's something that we can probably go into more depth for moving forward, and perhaps with a new segment we've got coming up.
You're right. But see, Jess is now written in here around what she wrote before about unconscious bias, and there's been some wonderful conversation, and I highly recommend anyone that's watching this go back and read the conversations and try to do it as we're doing it. But then she's goes, don't they go to the ref school during the week? And yes, they do. And I think that's the problem, right? And as Diggs is saying, rubber the green flavor of the month. What happens is they go to the ref school, they analyze this, they listen to all the rubbish that the people, or not all the rubbish, but all the things that happen out there and what all the comments are and that, and they go, okay, so yeah, we've got to focus on that. So then they go and do this focus on it this week, right? And it changes from what they had. And then the next week they go to school, or they go to their bloody house and do all the analyzing, and then do it. And then it just keeps this revolving bloody door. They're full-time refs, aren't they? So this is so they've finally done that. I think they only did that a few years ago, didn't they?
They get paid more than us, mate.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a good profession. Very good.
Oh yeah,
It's
everyone-
I'm not gonna. I don't want to. What I don't want to do is get away from the fact that being a ref is a bloody hard job. It's a hard job, but it's made to be a much harder job because the interpretation to this is not black and white, and it needs to be. It really needs to be black and white, and this should be much more black and white than it is. And until that happens, we're going to have these issues, and we're going to be pissed off a lot.
Shannon's back, mate. Just a quick one, Shannon. You have won a cooler, so make sure you message the page after this. I'll get that to you. Final one, thoughts on this one, Jake? I'll let you have that before we move on.
I just wanted to say one thing that Ricky sort of said that really like hit me. Like, I thought was really well that he said was he's going into each week where he's not knowing the rules. He feels like he doesn't know the rules of games, and how can you coach a team and tell them what they should be doing around rules and around these types of things without him being able to know them himself? Because it feels like he changes each week, and
I think
that's
it
a
goes
fair
into
point.
I think it goes into the games knowing the rules. I think the problem is that he goes in the games knowing which ones are they going to adjudicate differently and to the letter of the law, and which ones are they not? Which ones are they going to give away? That's the problem, right? Is so what are they going to give away and what aren't they going to? What are they going to give a sin bin for and what aren't they going to? That's the problem. We all know the freaking rules. The issue is what is adjudicated at the time and how they do it.
I think that's what he was trying to say, but in a bit of a kind of snarky way. But yeah,
Very smart about it. Very smart about it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on because we do have to go shortly. It's been a massive show, but I'll get to these questions that have already been asked. Come by Dave. How many more concussions for Radley before he's medically retired? His health is so important. 100% agree.
It can't be many.
There's not. I can't. Like remember Cordner, Jake Friend. The Roosters are a team that treat this very, very seriously. That is for sure. And same thing with Collins at the moment. I'm a bit worried about him because every time he's getting one at the moment, he's off for 2 or 3 weeks, which is a bit worrying as well. So, I don't think he has many more left in him, unfortunately. Hopefully, though, he just looks after his health. His health is the priority. Sorry?
I feel like in another pod we should talk about. It feels like the Roosters get more head knocks than any other team in the comp. Just quietly, I don't know. We should talk about that at some point.
You know what? More homework for you this week. Can you look at that and see what that is on and come back to us? Thank you.
Yeah, hold on. Let me check my notes.
You've won. I'm going to announce that you've won the 2 tickets to Magic Round as well, mate. So make sure you message the page, please, because I love this comment. Didn't know Hadji Patelis and Pascoe went to Manly. Obviously, just in regards to the absolute shit show that has become of that management calling Fox Sports Harper. I just absolutely love that comment. So you win it. Craig has asked a Supercoach question. So we all know by now Tuesday night Supercoach questions go to the man himself, the man of the hour, who didn't even ask what his score was this week, but we don't care. Ponga to Iongi. Would you do it?
If you have another option, I'd take. If you have another option, I'd take that. Definitely don't do Ponga. Keep Ponga. I don't know why you're getting rid of him. Okay. Never trade a gun. Hey, classic rule of Supercoach: never trade a gun.
Sorry, Tommy Sexter. Thanks for that.
As
Leon,
Nathan Cleary is the most traded out this weekend. But
yes, there is sometimes you trade a gun out to cash purposes. We'll talk about that tomorrow night, guys. Leon, why didn't Jason Riles play Hawkins sooner? Thought he had a great game. Well, sorry, mate, but he was injured. He was only back last week, played half a game New South Wales Cup, and then came back.
First game he was eligible.
Dave, when do the Eels win their first game? Now, quickly, I'll let you know what they're running.
We talked about that last
coming
week.
Up, Manly, Dragons, Raiders, Tigers, Sharks.
I think when's the bye round?
I'm scared.
8.
Round 8.
Yeah, there you go. So round 8.
I can't see him winning a football game for until Moses is back. I can't see much happening. But anyway,
no, we're gonna put 60 on We're gonna put 60 on Manly this weekend.
Leon's having a shot at you here, Jake, and I love it. Where is Jake's footy paraphernalia? His wall looks empty. Where's your stuff, mate? Where's your footy gear?
Well, just remind everyone where you live, Jake.
I live in I don't want to swear. I live in Condobolin, so I live in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of New South Wales, and so
nowhere.
Can't swear. I got might have some students watching this. But
get to bed.
Yeah, get to go to bed. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's like a cupboard, so I don't really want to put. I'm not gonna put it on there. I'll soon in the next. Well, it'll be next year, but I'll be getting like a big framed Eels jersey. That's mine. So that'll be going up. It's framed. It's from the 2001 season.
Here we go. Got Shem. Out of the 3 teams yet to win a game, which coach is under the most pressure? Cows, Finns, or Eels? Well, we're top
Cowboys. Two of those teams have got brand new coaches.
Yeah.
One team.
They have an excuse.
Toddy Payton. Oh, super coach. Hang on, mate. Jake, everyone just wants to talk to you tonight. This week's trade-ins from Ant Ren. Papi, Tino, Gutho, or Tui Pelotu. So if you had to choose out of Gutho or Tui Pelotu, who are you choosing?
Out of Gutho,
Jake, do you know who Tua Pelotu is?
Yeah,
do you know what team he plays for?
Come on now.
For who? For which team?
For Dragons. Relax. I'd be bringing in Gutho if you can get him in, personally. And then what were the other 2 options? I don't remember who you had up there.
There was 4. There was 4 options. No, but you only wanted to know out of Gutho or Tui Pelotu, who would you get out of those 2?
Oh, Gutho.
Okay, thank you. Tolly, hopefully I pronounced that correct. What do you guys think about not having Gutho in the Parramatta? I think we miss him heaps, miss his leadership, especially at the moment with no Moses. I think it's been felt quite severely. I think it's been very he's very underappreciated and underrated, his impact at the club. So it was always going to be the case. I think this year was always going to be hard without him. And I think the club is definitely going through that at the moment. Last one, Diggs. What do we think the Papua New Guinea team will be called? Trav, get you back here. Jake can go last since he's answered every other question.
I don't know.
The Hunters? That's what they are in Queensland Cup, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah,
do they reckon we'll just continue that? Oh, I have a feeling they probably will.
I would say they will be, but they would.
They won't go. They can't go to the Kumals because that's their international team.
Yeah, true.
So the Warriors can't be Kiwis because that's their.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I don't know. I don't have an answer. Sorry.
Yeah, the tax-free tarantulas by Tim. I think they might just go what their Queensland Cup is, which is the Hunters. So. Anyway, guys, that's it. It's been an absolutely huge show. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that's been on the show because we've consistently had over 30, which is great for the whole show, which has been fantastic. So obviously lots to talk about, a massive show. Had a bit of fun in there as well, so can't wait to bring you guys that draft concept each and every week. Some have already spent up big. Some of us have got a deal and a half. I'm going to go back and talk to the editors about that one. I'm not too happy with Jake getting away with that. So but thank you so much. Make sure again you like it, make sure you subscribe if you haven't to YouTube. Go check out Freedom Finance if you are seeking any sort of loans. Please go talk to Con and his team. Fantastic. Need any help, message our page as well, and I'm happy to get you in contact with him. And keep an eye out for more ways to win the Magic Round tickets from the Velveteen Rabbit that we'll be hosting. But good night. Thank you, Trav. Thank you, Jake. We will see you guys tomorrow night for Super Night. No, not you guys live, but you'll see us tomorrow night afterwards for our Supercoach edition. Get the questions in tomorrow. See you then.